News on Rajya Sabha television. This is the breakfast news. Let us start with the headlines. Parliament expected to take up motion of thanks on President's address today after disruptions on Monday. BJP issues whip to its members. In an exclusive interview to Rajya Sabha TV, Union Minister Vijay Goel says Rajya Sabha's budget session can be extended if disruptions continue. India welcomes the United Kingdom's decision to extradite a fugitive industrialist Vijay Mallya. India's first sought his extradition 2 years ago. Mallya has 2 weeks to appeal the move. Supreme Court to hear CBI plea accusing the Kolkata police of obstructing its probe today. Calcutta High Court says no to immediate hearing on West Bengal petition against the CBI. Indian Banking Association asks banks to waive off processing and documentation other service charges for Kisan Credit Card. Scheme aims to provide short-term credit to the farmers. And 8 Indians arrested in pay and stay scheme plead not guilty in US court. India demands consular access. Protests against their arrest. The top story this morning, BJP leader Bhupendra Yadav will move a motion of thanks on the President's address in the Rajya Sabha today. Motion of thanks follows the address of the President to the joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha at the commencement of first session of every year. The motion will be seconded by Vijay Goel in the Rajya Sabha. And the motion of thanks in the Lok Sabha will be moved by BJP leader Hukumdev Narayan Yadav. The motion will be seconded by Jagdambika Pal. Motion of thanks was not taken yesterday due to disruptions in the parliament led by Trinamool leaders. Meanwhile, the BJP on Monday issued a whip to its members in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha asking them to remain present in both houses of parliament throughout the week. The party has asked all its MPs to be present during the discussion on the motion of thanks to the President's address and the discussion on the interim budget. The opposition Congress had issued a similar whip on Sunday for its Lok Sabha members for their compulsory presence in the lower house throughout this week. And speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha television, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Vijay Goel said that the session of the Rajya Sabha could be extended if disruptions continue to stall the proceedings of the House. Let's take a listen.
What is government's strategy to ensure that the remaining session the House transacts business?
देखिए, सदन के अंदर बहुत महत्वपूर्ण राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण पर मोशन ऑफ थैंक्स धन्यवाद प्रस्ताव होना था, किंतु पश्चिम बंगाल में जिस तरीके की राजनीति चल रही है उसके चलते हुए आज सदन के अंदर हंगामा होता रहा। संवैधानिक संस्थाएं सीबीआई जैसी अपना काम कर रही हैं। तृणमूल कांग्रेस के खिलाफ जो भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप हैं वो आज नहीं हैं, वो पहले से उनके ऊपर इंक्वायरियां चल रही हैं, जांच चल रही हैं, कांग्रेस के समय से चल रही हैं। उसको लेकर आप सीबीआई के अधिकारियों को अरेस्ट कर लेंगे और संवैधानिक संस्थाओं को मानेंगे नहीं और इसके ऊपर आप राजनीति करेंगे, धरना करेंगे और उसके बाद संसद में हंगामा करेंगे, उसको चलने नहीं देंगे, तो ये तो ठीक नहीं है। संवैधानिक संस्थाओं का तो आदर करना ही पड़ेगा, तृणमूल पार्टी हो या दूसरी पार्टी हो। दूसरा, ये सारी जितनी भ्रष्ट पार्टियां हैं जिनके नेताओं के भ्रष्टाचार सामने आ रहे हैं, ये सब इकट्ठी हो गई हैं। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि इस तरह की राजनीति से संसद के कार्रवाई का नुकसान होता है, तो इसलिए आप अपनी राजनीति वहाँ रखिए, उसको संसद में मत लाइए।
But sir, the opposition parties are alleging that the government or the centre is misusing investigative agencies.
जो एजेंसी सीबीआई सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से काम कर रही हो, तो आप उसको ये कैसे कह सकते हैं कि हम मिसयूज कर रहे हैं या दुरुपयोग कर रहे हैं? तो ये तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से सीबीआई कार्रवाई कर रही है और आप देखेंगे कल सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जब फैसला आएगा तो यही फैसला होगा कि तृणमूल ने गलत किया है।
So there's consensus to take up 6 bills in the Rajya Sabha. what is going to be your effort now to ensure that all sides sit together and pass crucial bills before, because this is a very crucial session before the general elections?
देखिए, राज्यसभा में हमने शुरू से ही सभी पार्टी के नेताओं के साथ बैठकर इस पे चर्चा की कि पहले हम उन बिलों के जिन पर किसी प्रकार का विवाद नहीं है उनको हम पारित करते हैं। तो ऐसा विपक्षी दलों ने भी बताया कि इन पार्टियों इन बिलों के ऊपर हमें थोड़ा सा ऑब्जेक्शंस हैं, तो हमने अभी 6 बिल वो लिए हैं। 4 और बिल भी हैं जो हमको लगता है कि जिन पर कोई विवाद नहीं होगा वो पारित होंगे। उसके बाद जो बाकी के बिल हैं हम उसको लेने की कोशिश करेंगे। सदन में इस समय लेजिस्लेटिव बिजनेस करने के लिए समय बहुत कम है। ज़रूरत पड़ी तो फिर हमें राज्यसभा के दिन बढ़ाने पड़ेंगे।
Thank you so much for talking to us. Reporting from Parliament with camera person Anirban and Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And earlier, the TMC-led protests paralyzed the proceedings of the upper house on Monday. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu made repeated appeals to the members to allow the house to function. But as the protests continued unabated, Chairman Naidu adjourned the house first till 2 p.m. and then for the day.
After the House conducted formal business, members of the TMC protested over the alleged misuse of the Central Investigative Agency, CBI. Other opposition parties also joined ranks with the TMC. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that several notices, including from Derek O'Brien of the TMC on the CBI issue, were received. As he rejected the notices under Rule 267 for suspension of business of the House, he stressed that all members will get an opportunity to raise the important matter at length during the debate on the President's address.
Matters to be raised with the permission 0 over Sri Tiruchi Siva. Yeah. Sri Derek O'Brien, Sri Ram Gopal Yadav, Sri Manoj Kumar Jha, Sri Ashok Siddharth, Sri Sanjay Singh, Sri Narayan Lal Pancharia. They have given notice on different issues, and Sri Derek O'Brien has given a notice with regard to the one is job crisis in India, and you have given 2 notices. I am just reading that. Unless you have withdrawn about that job, this thing. Alleged CBI excesses against federal structure. Narayan Pancharia illegal arrest of CBI officers in West Bengal, and Manoj Kumar Jha and all with regard to 13-point roster for appointments in universities and colleges. My suggestion is, number 1, I have not admitted any one of them, but as matter is important, you have an opportunity to discuss it at length in the presidential address. President is address. Yeah. Or otherwise, I can also, no, please, this is not good. This is not the good. This cannot.
The TMC members, however, marched into the well of the House.
Also, please.
As the protests continued, the chairman adjourned the House till 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
When the House reassembled at 2 p.m., TMC members moved into the well of the House once again. Chairman Naidu made fervent appeals to members to allow the House to function. He urged them to raise larger issues during discussion on the motion of thanks on the President's address.
I wanted to allow you in the 0 hour, but your members came to the well of the House. You come to the well of the House. You don't want discussion. You don't want discussion. You don't want to discussion. You want to obstruct the House. You don't want the House to run. President address is an opportunity for everybody to speak about their state, their issues and larger issues. I don't want this to go on like this.
But as the protests continued, the chairman adjourned the House
At 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the CBI versus West Bengal police standoff also triggered disruptions in the Lok Sabha. Home Minister Rajnath Singh defended the CBI, saying that the Kolkata Police Commissioner was not cooperating with their probe. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court agreed for an urgent hearing on the CBI plea on Tuesday. So here is a look at all the developments in the story.
Disruptions over the Sharda Chit Fund scam led to adjournments in the Lok Sabha on Monday. Responding to the issue in 0 hour, Home Minister Rajnath Singh defended the CBI, saying the Kolkata Police Commissioner was not cooperating with its probe. He also termed the Kolkata police action against CBI officials unlawful and unprecedented.
देश की लॉ इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसी के भी ऐसा टकराव केवल दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, अपितु यह देश के फेडरल और यह पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम के लिए एक गंभीर खतरा भी है। संविधान में पुलिस और पब्लिक ऑर्डर यह राज्य के सब्जेक्ट है और हम केंद्र सरकार में इस संबंध में राज्यों के अधिकार का सम्मान भी करते हैं तथा संविधान ने केंद्र सरकार को यह जिम्मेदारी सौंपी हुई है कि वह इस बात को सुनिश्चित करे कि देश का शासन संवैधानिक व्यवस्थाओं के अनुसार चलाया जाए। मुझे उम्मीद है कि हमारी पश्चिम बंगाल की सरकार भी इन सारी लॉ इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसीज को सुचारू रूप से काम करने के लिए जो आवश्यक माहौल चाहिए वह उपलब्ध कराने में वह पूरी तरह से सहयोग करेंगे।
Raj Bhavan sources revealed that West Bengal Governor K.N. Tripathi submitted his report to the Home Ministry after Home Minister Rajnath Singh sought it. Calling Mamata Banerjee's sit-in in Kolkata unconstitutional, the BJP said she should help the CBI in its probe instead of supporting those indulging in corruption.
सिर्फ सीबीआई पूछताछ करने गई है और एक पुलिस कमिश्नर के समर्थन में उसके साथ धरना पर बैठी हुई हैं। जो ममता जी दो एमपीज की गिरफ्तारी पर खामोश रहती हैं, वो एक पुलिस कमिश्नर 89 बैच के आईपीएस अफसर की गिरफ्तारी पर इतनी व्याकुल क्यों हो गई? वो यही है कि लगता है राजदार बहुत जानता है और राजदार को बचाना जरूरी है।
The TMC claimed the centre's role in the matter amounted to political vendetta.
Mr. Modi cannot fight the Trinamool politically. They know that they will never be accepted in Bengal, so they are resorting to this political vendetta, especially after what they saw on January 19th at the United India rally.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court agreed to give an urgent hearing on Tuesday on the CBI plea, alleging destruction of electronic evidence relating to the Sharada Chit Fund scam case, allegedly by the Kolkata Police Commissioner. Matters took a turn for the worse when the Kolkata police detained 5 CBI officers who reached Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar's house to question him in the Sharada scam on Sunday evening. They were released a few hours later. Meanwhile, Mamata Banerjee's dharna against the CBI action entered its second day on Monday. With inputs from Ravindra Singh Shoran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And our colleague Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from Vijay Chowk in the national capital. Very good morning, Kriti. Kriti, the Lok Sabha witnessed 3 adjournments and the Rajya Sabha was adjourned due to, the political developments in Kolkata yesterday, and both houses were scheduled to discuss the motion of thanks on the President's address. So what is expected for today? And also, Kriti, we saw how, speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha TV, Vijay Goel said that the session of Rajya Sabha could be extended if the disruptions continue. So what are the indications that you are getting now?
Well, Ashwara, what will happen in Parliament today will largely be decided what happens in the Supreme Court today, because at 10:30, remember, CGI, a bench headed by CGI and also Justice Sanjeev Khanna would hear the plea of the CBI seeking directions to the West Bengal police to cooperate in the investigation in the chit fund scam and also make the Commissioner of Kolkata Police available for further investigation. So that could have a larger bearing on how the House functions today, because remember, yesterday there were repeated disruptions in both houses of Parliament, and in fact in the Rajya Sabha chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu ensured members that all the issues under relevant rules and procedures would be allowed to be taken up. He in fact prodded members that during the discussion on motion of thanks, the members could raise all the issues pertaining to their states and all the larger issues pertaining to this country. But of course there were repeated disruptions. Even in the Lok Sabha, the Speaker urged the members to allow the House to function. The Home Minister also made a statement there saying that there was an unprecedented crisis in West Bengal, and he also said that it was a responsibility of the central government to ensure that there is law and order situation in any part of the country. So there's a standoff between the centre and the West Bengal government there. As far as the Congress party is concerned, the Congress has issued 3-line whip to its members to be present in the Rajya Sabha today. They've already issued a whip to the members in the Lok Sabha to be present in the lower house. So certainly the standoff, this face of what turn it takes would largely be decided by the decision taken by the Supreme Court. So it remains to be seen whether the deadlock is resolved or the impasse continues. Aishwarya?
Absolutely, Kriti. Much will depend on what happens in the Supreme Court today. But if these disruptions continue, as we were you were listening that you were speaking to Vijay Goel, and he indicated that the session could be extended. So what are the feelers really that you're getting from the BJP and the NDA government in general?
Well, Aishwarya, before the commencement of the budget session and even after the budget was presented at the behest of Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu in the Rajya Sabha, the parties, the government and the opposition parties and the other parties sat together to decide on the number of bills to be taken up during this session. Remember, the chairman has also said that it is the time to unite and ensure that the House transacts business and to send out a positive message to the country, because this is the last session before the next general elections. Yes. So certainly there was consensus among the political parties to take up important bills, and 6 important bills. But the government is also trying to ensure that after the passage of 6 bills, there's also passage of 4 crucial bills that the government considers very necessary for the country. And of course, there has to be discussion on motion of thanks and also on interim budget. Yeah. So the government has a lot of agendas as far as this interim budget is concerned. But due to disruptions and the repeated stalling of the proceedings of the House, the government has said that if there are repeated disruptions, it will be compelled to ensure that there's extension of this session of Parliament. Aishwarya?
Right, Kriti. Thank you so much for those details there on both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And as Kriti was telling us that what really happens in both houses today, much of it will really depend on what happens in the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will today hear CBI's plea alleging contempt against the Kolkata police officers for obstructing the probe in the multi-crore Sharda chit fund scam cases. Now, the CBI has also accused Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar for the destruction of evidence related to the scam. Earlier on Monday, the agency moved the top court seeking directions to the West Bengal government to cooperate with the investigation in the chit fund cases, and has sought to make available Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar. And on the other hand, the Calcutta High Court has also refused immediate hearing on West Bengal government's plea against the CBI's attempt to question Rajiv Kumar in connection with the scam. Earlier on Sunday, a CBI team had arrived at the residence of Rajiv Kumar to question him in the chit fund scam cases. In Breakfast News, time to slip into a very short break. We'll be right back with more news. Don't go anywhere.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
विजय माल्या, नीरव मोदी, मेहुल चोकसी जैसे कारोबारियों पर लगाम लगाने के लिए मॉनसून सत्र में भगोड़ा आर्थिक अपराधी विधेयक 2018 राज्यसभा में ध्वनिमत से पारित कर दिया गया।
जब ये कहते हैं कि एक मछली सारे तालाब को गंदा करती है, तो बड़ी मछलियों को पकड़ना बहुत आवश्यक है, और इसलिए भगोड़ा घोषित करने के लिए इस बिल के अंतर्गत जो प्रावधान किया गया है कि 100 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक राशि के जो लोग हैं जिन्होंने देश को छोड़ दिया है और प्रोसिक्यूशन या अभियोजन पक्ष के सामने कानूनी रूप से जाने से जिन्होंने इनकार कर दिया है, जिन्होंने एक तरीके से देश के कानून को मानने से इनकार कर दिया है, उसके खिलाफ ये बिल लाया गया है।
Those who ran away from the country, that one part may not be applicable for the proposed offence. But the failure, continuous willful failure to appear before the court, pending cases consecutively for 3 hearings, this must be made as a specific offence, and deterrent punishment must be prescribed.
An offender who holds majority stake or key managerial position in the company, when the bill disentitles the company, then the other shareholders will not have any rights. Such a prohibition might affect the interest of other stakeholders and can disrupt the normal functioning of the entity.
देखिए संसद संवाद सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
In a huge victory for Indian investigating agencies, the UK Home Secretary has cleared fugitive liquor baron Vijay Mallya's extradition to India. The decision comes exactly 2 years after the Indian government first handed over the extradition request to the British High Commission in New Delhi in February 2017. Mallya's extradition was ordered by a UK court in December, but under the extradition treaty procedures, the court's verdict was sent to the British Home Secretary for a final approval. Now, welcoming the development, Union Minister Arun Jaitley said the government has cleared one more step to get Mallya extradited. Vijay Mallya, who faces a case of loan default to the tune of 9,000 crore rupees, besides allegation of money laundering, now has 14 days to appeal against the Home Secretary's decision, and the case would then proceed to the UK High Court if the appeal is allowed. Now, in a tweet, Vijay Mallya said that he will initiate the appeal process against his extradition order. He is currently on bail on an extradition warrant executed by the Scotland Yard in April 2017. And in yet another move to provide direct benefit to the farmers and ease the pressure on them, the Indian Banking Association has issued advisory for the banks to waive off processing, documentation, inspection and other service charges for Kisan Credit Card and crop loans up to 3 lakh rupees. Agriculture Ministry in a release said that there are over 21 crore small and marginal farmers in the country, and providing them timely and affordable credit is the key to attaining inclusive growth. The Kisan Credit Card scheme aims at providing adequate and timely credit support from the banking system to the farmers to meet their short-term credit requirements. And Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee will meet today to announce its bi-monthly monetary policy for the current fiscal. The 3-day-long bi-monthly meeting will be the first meeting under RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, who took charge in December 2018. Now, this is also RBI's first meeting after big-ticket income tax rebates announced by Finance Minister Piyush Goel in last week's interim budget. Now, experts believe that RBI's Monetary Policy Committee is likely to change its policy stance to neutral on low inflation footprint, but would refrain from cutting interest rates due to fiscal challenges and rising crude oil prices. The RBI has cut the retail inflation target, which is a key input to decide monetary policy, to 2.7 to 3.2% for the second half of the current fiscal ending March 2019. On expectations of a normal monsoon and moderate food prices. Retail inflation during the October to December quarter stood at 2.6% against RBI's projected trajectory of 3.8%. And Monaco's head of state, Prince Albert II, arrived in India on Monday on his first official visit, during which he will hold talks with the top Indian leadership to strengthen bilateral ties. On Monday, he attended the India-Monaco Business Forum, which was attended by Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu. While addressing the gathering, Prabhu said that a huge scope exists between the business of India and the European country to boost cooperation in the services sector and high-end technologies. A partnership agreement was also signed between Industry Chamber FICCI and Monaco Economic Board to strengthen the institutional relations between the two countries for further increasing trade and economic relations in the forum. The Monacan prince is slated to meet External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Ram Nath Kovind later today. And the 8 Indians who were recently arrested for recruiting several hundred students, mostly from India, to stay illegally in the United States by enrolling them in a fake university have pleaded not guilty before a federal court in Michigan. One of them, who is on a H-1B visa and lives in Kentucky, was released on a bond of $10,000 US on Monday. 7 others consented to their continued detention before a judge in the Eastern District of Michigan, where they were produced along with the main accused days after their arrest. Now, they were arrested last Monday from Detroit, from Florida and Virginia in a nationwide immigration and customs enforcement operation. The ICE also detained some 130 students, out of which 129 were Indians. Meanwhile, John W. Brewster, the attorney for the main accused, has accused the federal government of entrapping people by carrying out such a sting operation. More than 125 Indian students were arrested in the United States last week for enrolling at a fake university, allegedly with the aim to remain in the country. All the arrested students currently in detention face deportation. Sports news now. 2 back-to-back series win in Australia and New Zealand has grabbed India the second spot in the ICC One-Day International Rankings. India accumulated 122 points on the back of series wins over Australia and New Zealand and are now placed behind England with 126 points in the latest ICC rankings, while New Zealand slipped behind South Africa to be placed at the 4th spot after losing the series against India 1-4. And in the batsman list, Indian skipper Virat Kohli continues to dominate the top spot, while Mahendra Singh Dhoni moved up after showcasing a strong performance against Australia last month. Dhoni moved 3 places up to get the 17th position. And in the bowlers list, leg spinner Yuzvendra Chahal moved up 1 place to the 5th spot, and fast bowler Bhuvneshwar Kumar jumped up 6 places to claim the 17th position. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching.